15 California suburbs are experiencing notable new construction inventory challenges in 2026, with verified home value declines ranging from 1% to nearly 9% in communities where builders opened substantial new phases into a market where buyer demand thinned as mortgage rates remained elevated and return-to-office requirements reduced the viability of long commutes. Let's start by understanding the national context. Unsold finished new homes in America recently accumulated to approximately 124,000 units, the highest level since 2009. Major builders have been offering buyer incentives worth around 13% of purchase price to move product. That's the national backdrop. This video is about where those conditions land hardest in California, suburb by suburb. Number 15 is Banning. The San Gorgonio Pass has channeled everything through Banning for a century: the railroad, Interstate 10, and the wind turbines spinning on the hills above town. Now it's channeling builders. Banning spent decades as the quieter, more affordable neighbor to Palm Springs, a retirement town anchored by the Sun Lakes community. Then the tract home machine arrived, led by a new master plan on the south side drawn for close to 5,000 homes, with model rows already open and additional phases graded into the dirt. The mathematics those builders are counting on have started to wobble. Zillow shows a typical Banning home at approximately $413,000, down 1% over the past year, with homes now taking around 30 days to go pending, the slowest in this countdown. 30 days doesn't sound like crisis until you understand what it means for a builder carrying finished inventory. Every additional week is carrying cost, and carrying cost converts into buyer incentives, and buyer incentives convert into the resale seller down the street getting undercut by the company that built the house they're trying to sell. Banning still has a genuine advantage. It's among the last places in Southern California where $400,000 buys a new home. The buyer traffic, however, has thinned noticeably. Number 14, Ontario. 100 years ago the smell told you where you were. South Ontario was dairy country, one of the largest concentrations of dairy cattle in America, thousands of acres of feedlots and barns against the San Bernardino County line. Then the cows started leaving and the surveyors arrived. That land is now Ontario Ranch, one of the country's largest active homebuilding projects, a plan calling for tens of thousands of new homes on the former agricultural preserve, with national builders opening community after community. The challenge is timing. All of those new rooftops are landing in a market moving the other direction. Zillow shows a typical Ontario home at approximately $630,000, down 1.2% over the past year, and every new phase that opens adds fresh inventory to a city already declining. A resale seller in Ontario now competes with a builder offering a brand new house, a rate buydown, and a design credit, and builders can cut deals individual homeowners cannot match. Real economic strength exists underneath this market. The airport is active, logistics employment is substantial, and families genuinely want entry at this price point, which is why builders bet so heavily here. But a bet this size only works if buyers keep arriving at yesterday's prices. Number 13, Jurupa Valley. Jurupa Valley has only been a city since 2011, one of the last California incorporations before Mountain House. A collection of older ranch neighborhoods and newer subdivisions along the 60 freeway just across the river from Ontario Ranch. The entire reason this city exists is managed growth. It incorporated to handle the tract developments and warehouses spreading across the Riverside County line. Builders obliged, filling the flats with new homes aimed at families priced out of Orange County and Los Angeles. Zillow shows a typical home at approximately $666,000, down 1.3% on the year. The pressure comes from both directions. Ontario Ranch delivers thousands of competing new homes into the same buyer pool a few minutes west, and the warehouse employment that anchored local paychecks has cooled since the peak of the logistics and shipping boom. A city 15 years old with limited established equity base feels every one of those swings at full intensity. Number 12, Rancho Mission Viejo. Here's a comparison that tells the story clearly. The original Mission Viejo, masterplanned in the 1960s and completed decades ago, rose 0.7% this year with homes going pending in 9 days. Rancho Mission Viejo, its brand new namesake being built now in the hills south of it, is down 1.9% on Zillow. Same county, same developer lineage, same target buyer demographic, and the finished product is substantially outperforming the new one. Rancho Mission Viejo is the county's last significant master plan, 14,000 homes planned across a series of villages, with new phases still opening and sales flags still going up. Buyers there are paying premium Orange County prices, and the village amenities are genuinely impressive: resort-style pools, community farms, and trail systems older suburbs would compete aggressively to offer. But every new phase the developer opens competes directly with the owners who bought the previous one. People who purchased in earlier phases are competing for resale buyers against the builder next door offering newer homes with incentives attached. Number 11. American Canyon. Look at American Canyon on a map and the entire sales pitch is immediately clear. It's the first town inside Napa County driving north from Vallejo on Highway 29, which means every home gets to put Napa on its mailing address without paying wine country prices. Builders identified that positioning advantage 20 years ago and never stopped exploiting it. Tract after tract of stucco homes went up on the valley flats near the wetlands, marketed to Bay Area commuters as the affordable entry point into a famous county. Zillow shows the typical home at approximately $730,000, down 2.1% over the past year. The fundamental challenge is that the marketing premise works only in an appreciating market. When prices climb, a Napa County address at a discount sounds like insight. When it turns, buyers start evaluating what they are actually purchasing: a long commute, a working-class town with industrial infrastructure nearby, and a wine country lifestyle that exists primarily on the mailing label. The actual vineyards start about 10 minutes up the road. The equity appreciation lately stops at the city line. Number 10. Dublin. No city in the Bay Area grew faster through the 2010s than Dublin. The formula was clear: take the last available hills in the Tri-Valley, add BART access, and build. Entire districts of new homes rose east of Tassajara Road while Dublin ranked among California's fastest-growing cities, selling the same promise to thousands of tech commuters: new construction with a train to the paycheck. That promise is now being repriced. Zillow shows Dublin down 2.4% over the past year. Context makes the situation clearer. Danville, 10 minutes up the road and long considered one of the Tri-Valley's most stable markets, dropped almost 8%. When established premium markets in a region give up 8%, newer build districts can't sustain a premium built on being the fresh alternative, because fresh commands a premium only over something that costs more. Additionally, each year another cohort of those 2010s homes enters the resale market. They all look similar, they were all built in the same era, and they're all competing with each other in a valley where the buyer pool contracted as return-to-office requirements reduced the appeal of long commutes. Dublin still has BART, strong schools, and the newest housing stock in the East Bay. What it no longer has is scarcity. Number 9. Paterson. There's an Interstate 5 exit where the almond orchards break and a perfect grid of newer rooftops appears, and that's Paterson. This town called itself the apricot capital of the world for a century. Then major distribution centers found it, giant fulfillment warehouses rose along the freeway, and builders followed with tract after tract aimed at two buyer types: warehouse workers and Bay Area commuters willing to drive over the Altamont Pass for an affordable new house. Both buyer pools have thinned. Redfin tracked Paterson's sale prices falling approximately 3.5% with price per square foot down over 8% from a year ago. Stanislaus County overall shows approximately 4.8% decline on Zillow. A town this size feels every market swing at full intensity because a relatively small number of monthly sales sets the price for everyone, and when builders keep delivering fresh phases into that thin market, new homes and barely lived-in resale homes end up competing for the same limited pool of qualified buyers. Number 8. Wildoma. What happens when a place becomes a city at the exact peak of a housing cycle? Wildoma found out the hard way. This stretch of the Interstate 15 corridor between Lake Elsinore and Muyeta incorporated in 2008, the year the previous housing cycle collapsed, and spent its early years managing foreclosures rather than growth. Then the cycle turned, builders returned, and the freeway corridor flats filled with new tract homes, the product this city was created to accommodate. Now the cycle is turning again. Zillow puts a typical Wildoma home at approximately $612,000, down 3.7% over the past year. Homes still go pending in about 10 days, which indicates sellers pricing to current reality move quickly while those holding to previous valuation sit. This corridor operates on one fundamental equation. A family priced out of Orange County drives Interstate 15 until the monthly payment works and stops. 4 years Wildemar was a frequent answer. But the same geography that delivers buyers also removes them when prices fall in closer markets, reducing the incentive to drive this far.
Number 7. Santa Clarita. Los Angeles decided to build its next major suburb, and the timing is complicated. Santa Clarita, the valley north of the city where Magic Mountain marks the skyline, has been Los Angeles County's family destination for 50 years. Right now it hosts the largest active master plan in the region, the 5 Point Valencia project, a build-out plan at over 20,000 homes rolling west of Interstate 5, with model homes open in new phases actively selling. Here's what those builders are selling into. Zillow shows a typical Santa Clarita home down 3.7% over the past year to approximately $770,000. Within the city, older neighborhoods are falling more steeply, with some areas down over 5%. Thousands of brand new houses are therefore landing in a valley where existing homes can't hold their value, putting every new rooftop in direct competition with resale properties that just got cheaper. Builders can sustain a difficult year with the balance sheets they operate. The valley has genuine fundamentals. Strong schools, parks, and family infrastructure that drive multi-decade retention. Resale owners are the ones caught in the middle, competing against the corporation's incentive budget with nothing available but a price reduction. Number 6. Dixon. The farmland between Davis and Vacaville was supposed to stay farmland. Dixon spent decades as a farm service town along Interstate 80, watching its neighbors transform into commuter cities, and largely declining the invitation. Then the economics became too compelling and new phases started rolling across the north side, roof lines replacing field rows. The timing reads difficult now. Zillow shows a typical Dixon home at approximately $582,000, down 3.8% over the past year. What surrounds it matters. Davis, the university town next door, is down nearly 5%. Vacaville, one exit west, is down 5%. Dixon agreed to become a commuter town at the exact moment the entire Interstate 80 commuter corridor started giving back pandemic-era appreciation. Brand new homes on old farm dirt are being priced against falling comparable sales in every direction before the pain is fully cured. The small town bones are genuine. A real Main Street, the legendary Mayfair celebration, farm fields still touching city limits. But when both larger neighbors are declining simultaneously, the price floor for the new development between them becomes genuinely uncertain. Number 5. San Jacinto. On the flat valley floor beneath its namesake mountains at the eastern edge of Riverside County sprawl, San Jacinto is where tract builders go when everywhere else gets expensive. Land is inexpensive, development entitlements come more readily, and there's consistently another field to grade. The result is a town where new phases never really stop opening, aim at the most financially stretched buyers in Southern California. First-time buyers pursuing the last $400,000 new house within commuting distance of employment. Zillow shows a typical home at approximately $455,000, down 3.9% over the past year, one of the sharper drops in the county, and the construction pipeline keeps delivering fresh competition into that declining market. Entry-level buyers are the first population that rising rates price out of the market entirely, which means towns built specifically for entry-level buyers experience every rate-tightening cycle with maximum impact. The mountain views at sunset are genuinely impressive, and the price of admission is the lowest on the Southern California portion of this list. Number 4. Plumas Lake. Plumas Lake has done all of this before, and that history is exactly what makes its current numbers most sobering. In the mid-2000s, builders carved this brand new community out of rice fields south of Marysville, selling fresh subdivisions on cheap land with Interstate 70 access to Sacramento. Then 2008 arrived and Plumas Lake became one of Northern California's most documented casualties. Streets of nearly new homes standing empty, foreclosure signs on sod that hadn't fully rooted, substantial portions of the community underwater before it finished becoming a community. The builders eventually returned. The lessons apparently had limited staying power. New phases have been opening again across those same flats. The current numbers read like an echo. Mavuto's data shows a median list price at approximately $544,000, with price per square foot down 5% from a year ago. The median home here now sits approximately 185 days on the market. In a state where the healthiest markets on this list move homes in 9 to 12 days, Plumas Lake listings wait approximately 6 months for buyers. That metric is as close as modern market data gets to the phrase, sitting empty. Families here who value the quiet and the price access genuinely affordable new construction in Sacramento's orbit. But this specific ground has already demonstrated once what happens when the market cycle turns. Number 3, Rockland. Homes in Rockland sell in 9 days. Values fell 5.5% anyway. Both are simultaneously true, and together they tell something more revealing than either figure alone. Rockland sits in Placer County's new build corridor northeast of Sacramento, a granite quarry town transformed over 2 decades into a polished suburb filled with fresh subdivisions and the school quality that puts communities on corporate relocation lists. Zillow shows a typical home at approximately $674,000, down 5.5% on the year, and the 9-day pending time is a signal. A market where homes sell quickly while prices decline is a market where sellers have stopped holding firm. They price below the previous comparable. Buyers move immediately. The new comparable resets lower, and the next seller starts from that lower base. It's a fast, orderly correction rather than a standoff. Builders in the newer Rockland villages keep feeding that cycle because their incentives set a ceiling on what any nearby resale can realistically ask. Nothing about Rockland's fundamental appeal has deteriorated. The schools still rank, the parks still fill, families still want in. The price of all of it is just resetting through a series of 9-day transactions. Number 2, Lincoln. 25 years ago, Lincoln was a quiet railroad town of approximately 11,000 people on the outer edge of Placer County. Then for a stretch of the early 2000s, it became one of the fastest growing cities in the United States, expanding toward 50,000 residents as builders rolled subdivisions and a large retirement community across former ranch land. It has never really stopped adding rooftops since. Zillow shows a typical Lincoln home down 5.9% over the past year to approximately $637,000, the second steepest verified decline on this list, in a city whose entire modern identity is new construction. Lincoln's structural challenge is concentration. It grew as essentially one product type, the brand new tract home at the affordable outer edge of the Sacramento region, and when that region softens, a single product market has nothing else to support it. No established older housing stock holding different buyer demographics. No significant employment base of its own. Just miles of homes built in the same 2 decades competing with each other and with whatever the builders are opening next. The scale of the development is visually striking. It's also, at current conditions, a concentrated single bet on one market segment, continuing to perform. And number 1, Hollister. If you haven't heard of Hollister before, that obscurity is part of the story. This quiet ranch town in San Benito County, over the hills south of San Jose, was positioned as the Bay Area's last affordable alternative. And right now it's posting the steepest verified decline of any suburb on this list. Zillow shows the typical Hollister home down 8.7% over the past year to approximately $749,000, with listings taking 19 days to go pending in a region where the healthiest markets move in 10. Here's how it arrived at this position. For years, Hollister deliberately constrained its own growth. Then the caps loosened, builders arrived, and new districts began spreading across ranch land, selling one specific dream. A brand new house at a price San Jose hadn't offered since the 1990s in exchange for one of Northern California's most challenging commutes, a crawl up a 2-lane highway over the hills toward employment centers. A substantial number of buyers accepted that trade. Then return to office requirements recalculated the math. Mortgage rates remained elevated. The 2-lane commute stopped penciling for enough buyers that the town with the newest housing stock south of the Bay found itself holding fresh inventory in front of a shrinking qualified buyer pool. The pattern running through all 15 markets on this list is the same wager placed at different locations along different freeways. Cheap land at the edge of a metro, brand new homes as a product, and a buyer who drives until a monthly payment works. That wager built substantial portions of California, and it works effectively right up until rates rise and the driving stops making sense, which is precisely the moment builders can't stop building because the land is purchased, the phases are approved, and the development machine only runs forward. So the flags keep going up while the buyer pool thins.